Hi everyone, welcome back to the Lift Performance Strength and Conditioning vlogs. My name is Cody and this is Max Pecarsky.
Well, I mean, there's lots of different ways someone can jump higher, right? There's different patterns of exercise, and I think it all starts from just learning how to jump properly, right? If there's leaks of energy in your movement, then you're not gonna get your maximal output for your movement, right? So it starts with refining, okay, how are we gonna jump to get the most out of it? And then from there, okay, we see certain weaknesses in certain parts of your movement, and then we refine it from there, I would say.
Yeah, so when we're working with athletes to help them jump higher, as Max pointed out, we first want to identify where the errors are and where we can be of benefit. So in strength and conditioning, we utilize jump mechanics as well as weightlifting. And through jump mechanics, first you're learning how to actually execute the jump, and then utilizing weights, your body is able to output more. So what that means is, if I'm trying to jump up and I only put a certain amount of pressure into the ground, really I'm only gonna jump this high. Whereas if I get stronger, because now I'm squatting more, deadlifting more, lunging more, then all of a sudden I'm able to output more into the ground, which allows me to jump even higher. So we utilize the tools here in the gym to help you output more when you're trying to jump on the field. Yeah, so as part of our way that we assess athletes, we're gonna look at how they move, and that includes when they're running, when they're accelerating, when they're changing direction, which are critical components of on-field performance. So what we would look at is, how are you accelerating? Similar to when we're looking at how you jump. Are you accelerating head down, feet flicking behind you, or are you generating power from the hip, which will help you maximize your acceleration? And when you're decelerating to change direction, are you dropping the hips, or are you just kind of off balance when you're doing things? So what we would look at doing is, what is your movement mechanics? And then again, getting you to do different types of sprints here and getting you to do stuff outside to help maximize your ability to accelerate, decelerate, change direction. Yeah, obviously within Ultimate, it's such a rotational based sport, so I need so much power out of my core musculature. And what we would do here in the weight room, utilizing med balls, using cables, using bands, we would get you to learn how to utilize your core, specifically your obliques, to generate more rotational power, so that one, you can release with more power, which will get you faster throws, but also more distance in your throws. And that's a really important point to learn and to develop, so that you're not just leaking energy. So if I'm trying to throw and I'm really, say, arching my back and doing things, I'm not properly recruiting my obliques. Whereas if I can stay stacked through everything, I can get a lot more whip and rotational power. So again, through here, with the tools that we have, we'd really work to develop that ability to help you throw further. So when we're talking about change of direction and deceleration, there's kind of two ways we're going to need to break it down, specifically for Ultimate. So for Ultimate, are you able to accelerate, stop, and maybe change direction, versus the other way being, if you're trying to pivot around someone, if I'm really poor at deceleration, maybe I'm going to try and throw this way, and if I'm poor, I might take a really long time to then pause and then step and turn. And if I'm really slow and have an inability to output that way, well, whoever's defending me can get in my way and then smack down the disc. So what we want to do is train deceleration in two very specific ways. One, when I'm accelerating, decelerating, and trying to get open. And two, as I'm trying to pivot so that I can be accurate with the disc. So when looking at ultimate players and how you can lay out when trying to catch the disc is a critical component within the game, right? And if you don't time it properly or land poorly, really that's gonna suck in a lot of different ways. So when looking at how we can prepare ourselves to be able to absorb that landing, what we need to look at is a couple of things. First, is our body, upper body specifically, able to absorb that landing and stretch out? The next piece would be our neck, right? If our neck is weak, what we typically see when people fall is that they, bang their head, and that can potentially lead to concussions. Whereas we have a strong neck, they're able to keep their head up for a long period of time, and visually they can see where the disc is going, so they're more likely to catch things. And three, I'm a big believer in things like gymnastics. So learning and preparing and repetitively building up the ability to fall. So starting off with onto a mat, so you learn how to fall properly, doing somersaults, cartwheels, things like that. So your body's getting used to interacting with the ground. And as you do that more and build up the speed as well as and the velocity of interaction with the ground, your body will build up a durability and your mental confidence in the ability to do that in the game.
I'd say it always starts with the basics of just learning how to move properly, making sure our bracing strategies are proper for our core. And then from there, once we see about 6 to 12 weeks, some better movement competency, then we start potentially adding more dynamic movement. That's very sport specific for ultimate in general, ultimate specifically, sorry, and adding load and trying to get stronger for the exact sport, I'd say. So the year for any sport really, and ultimate, is separated into off-season, preseason, during the season, right, in season. So we want to look at it and separate it a bit because what we're looking for within those time periods are going to be a bit different. So in the off-season, we're looking at really loading and training them to get stronger in order to be prepared for the actual season. In preseason, we might deload a little bit so they're ready for the season, and then in season it would be more about like maintaining their current strength and not losing or regressing and staying, I would say, injury free is the most important part. And hopefully everything before that has kind of built them towards that to be their strongest self. And yeah,
and then year after year, building off what Max just talked about, year after year, we'd want to continue to build that. So again, that off season, getting even stronger, preparing for the season. And then each year, as you get more experience, we're going to start to try and build in different ways so that down the pathway towards that elite level of performance, really you can output your absolute best.
I think the number one reason why you should work with a strength coach as an ultimate athlete is you're going to get the education that you really need to have your best career, rather than, say, getting information from a friend or the internet where you don't really know if they're educated enough to give you the right information to really be the best athlete you can be, right? So us as strength coaches, we've been working at it. Cody especially has been working at it for a long time and done tons of research and figured out the best way, not only for sport in general, but also for specific sports like ultimate. We know what's best in terms of how we're gonna get the best output within your sport. Better than, say, your coach who knows more about the sport, or your friend, or a gym teacher, et cetera, right? We have the knowledge and education to really push you in the right direction and get you as strong as you can be for your sport.
Cool. Anything to add to that?
No, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's good to refine it, but yeah, it's good.
Okay, so just a summary, when you're thinking about ultimate athletes out there, and just kind of things that we've touched upon, is there any last things to kind of add or final ideas here?
I think what a lot of people tend to miss is the benefits of strength and conditioning when it comes to being an ultimate athlete. When you think of an ultimate athlete, the sport involves so many different physical aspects that unless you're training in the weight room with a very specific purpose and why, it'll be hard to maximize all those abilities. So it's important to work with a qualified strength coach to help you target what you as an individual need to then maximize performance for your sport, specifically for ultimate.